Global warming is not something that only happens somewhere else in the world.
And after the storm, I run and run as the rains come, and I look up, on my knees and out of luck, I look up.
Global warming has been affecting our world for a long time.
Always pushed up day.
We were already given signals in the 1950s. At that moment, people were not prepared for a flood.
I won't rot.
Even though nowadays disasters affect thousands of people, back then a great deal of inhabitants also lost their belongings and sometimes even the roof over their heads.
And we stood tall.
In the past 30 years, global warming has increased at an alarming fast rate. The world is no longer being dominated by cold temperatures.
A wildfire season. A wildfire in Arizona.
Begin with that destructive wildfire.
Dozens of bushfires.
One of the world's worst bushfires.
At the Bushfire Control Centre,
A series of dangerous wildfires.
bushfires.
This is to end in fire, then we shall all burn together. Watch the flames climb high into the night, calling out Father.
In Australia, more than 20 million hectares have been burned down by bushfires since the 19th century. That is the same as Belgium being burned down 7 times.
And if we should die tonight,
Over 800 people have already died in Australian bushfires.
wine for the last time, calling out Father.
More than 50% of the world's forests have already been destroyed by bushfires, but also by mankind.
The mountainside, desolation comes upon the sky.
Polar ice is melting.
Melting ice and rising sea.
Ice sheet is melting at an unprecedented rate.
If the Antarctic ice sheet melted, the world's sea level would rise by 600 meters. If the ice sheets melt, less light is reflected, which means that the Earth will warm up at a higher speed. However, it's still unknown when precisely all of the ice will have melted.
Japan's double disaster, its strongest earthquake on record, creates a devastating 30-foot tsunami.
The nation of Japan is reeling today, trying to recover from a devastating natural disaster. The earthquake hit the island nation on Friday. It registered a magnitude of 8.9. That makes it the most powerful quake to hit Japan in at least 100 years.
The middle of the earthquake was in Fukushima, but I actually had volleyball practice that day in Tokyo, and we felt it a lot. The buildings were swaying, and I thought it was like the center of the earthquake was in Tokyo, but it wasn't. It was really big. I was actually in a really busy part of Tokyo at that time, and there was a building under construction near where I was standing, and it started to sway a lot, and I was really afraid that it would fall and we would all die. You have a lot of irrational fears when strange, unexpected things happen at that time. And my school has a TV in every classroom, So we watched the footage from there, and then we watched all the tsunamis. I had to swallow all the people, swallow all the buildings, and it was scary. I mean, it didn't feel like the footage was part of Japan. It was devastating.
Catastrophic flooding is turning Australia's third largest city of 2 million people into a ghost town.
Australia, meanwhile, faces years of rebuilding after historic flooding there, and now a cyclone threatens to bring even more rain.
Rushing floodwaters almost 15 feet high.
35,000 homes have been affected by the flooding, some 30 of Brisbane's suburbs underwater.
Stranded horses are struggling through muddy waters in a desperate search for higher ground.
Can you imagine a wave that suddenly comes your way? It drags you along your city and moves you far away from your home. Can you imagine yourself struggling against the stream, but no matter how hard you try, you can't get out? Can you imagine looking at a dead body drifting in water full of garbage? It might be someone you know, maybe even your neighbor.
Now thought the famine between 2010 to 2012 claimed as many as 250,000 lives.
Egypt's military-backed government is struggling to restore political stability, but the Egyptian people face a much bigger problem. Now the post-Ramadan feast is over, food will be increasingly hard to come by as the most populous Arab nation is experiencing a major supply crisis.
Even though we depend on a reliable, clean supply of drinking water to sustain our health, approximately 1 billion people around the world don't have access to clean drinking water. Climate change increases the risk of exposure to hunger, malnutrition, and food insecurity among the poorest people. Every day, 27,000 to 30,000 people die because of starvation. One in 12 persons worldwide is underfed, of which 160 million children younger than 5.
In the town of Hasselt when violent storms broke out.
Super Typhoon Haiyan last hour, the storm made landfall in the eastern Philippines.
Sandy has delivered, causing widespread destruction.
Het was een dag dat Pukkelpop getroffen was door onweer. En het viel op dat er enorm veel blikseminslagen waren. En op een gegeven moment sloeg er een bliksem enorm dicht in. Het type buien die we dan gezien hebben op de stormcees waren eigenlijk al van een kaliber dat je toch ook 2 à 3 weken op zijn minst later zou verwachten. Echt toestanden voor in het begin van de zomer en niet in het begin van het voorjaar.
Reporting events in Syria is becoming too dangerous.
As RT's Paula Sleer reports, some worry it could be the catalyst for a large-scale regional war.
Here in Los Angeles, a massive amount of people have taken to the streets to rally against U.S. intervention in Syria.
To the soldier, the civilian, the martyr, the victim, this is...
A far less obvious consequence of global warming is the rising number of conflicts. Shifts in temperature and rainfall are linked to the increasing number of wars. If temperature rises, crop yields decline and rural incomes fall, and the disadvantaged rural population becomes more likely to take up arms.